What's up, guys? It's me. I keep buying clothes to remind you who I am, 24. And today I'm here to give you guys a top 10 video. Today I'm going to be talking about the top 10 most overrated decks in Yu-Gi-Oh! I don't mean decks that just get the most hype and people jump on the bandwagon and want to play it. That's another video of another topic for another video. But when I say overhyped, I mean decks that were like in the build-up when cards were announced. People thought that this was gonna be the ultimate, this was gonna be the craziest thing that ever hit the game since GOAT format. Like, these are the decks that when, also got play in the OCG first, people thought like, oh, well, it's killing in the OCG. Once it gets over here, oh, it's ripping everything apart. And then it comes and it does absolutely nothing. So in a way, it's like some of the most biggest decks that's flopped, or just the most disappointing decks, however you want to say it. But that's how I define overhyped. So today I'm going to be talking about the 10 decks that I feel like the most overhyped. And I probably wrote down like 15, 20. And some of you guys actually gave me suggestions because over the weekend, when I post whatever video that I'm selecting to do for Saturday, when I want to do a top 10, I always post it on the channel on like a Friday or a Sunday night. So that way you guys get a preview of what the topic is going to be, and you guys can chime in on whenever that video is going to be about. And if you don't see it on there, you can always go to the Discord server. Discord server link is down below. Whenever I decide to do a top 10 video, I will throw it in there and open it up to you guys' suggestions. So no further ado, we're gonna get into the video. So get ready to click that like button right now if you're excited to see this video. Subscribe to the channel if you're new. Click that bell for notifications if you're old. That way you're always updated once we upload a video to this channel. My number 10 most overhyped deck is Sylvanas. Sylvanas, I remember when Sylvanas got announced. This was way back in the day, Kisame, early days, 2015, 2016. When Sylvanas got announced, because of that excavation ability, that was kind of new to the game, and people thought that with that and the big monster, the forest one, the level 8 one, and plant decks were kind of running around with Lone Fire Blossom and I think, what was it, the plant synchro deck was such a thing. Like that, I remember the hype of that deck coming in. It's going to be tier 1. It's taking over. It's going to be one of the new contenders. Nothing happened. It hit flat. Nobody cared. They didn't have enough consistency within the day. Only the big monsters were useful. You couldn't even run all the cards because I remember Leaf Blade, only 2 or 3 of them ever really did something. All the rest of them was just filler for the deck. And they didn't have enough spell and trap card support to build enough consistency within it. So this is a very old school one. Just figure I'd throw that in there. I'm moving on up. Number 9, Mecha Phantom Beast. I remember Mecha Phantom Beast. Some of you guys even know this channel. We used to have a running gag on this channel with the Draco Sack because we used to film in a backyard outside. When we film outdoors, we live by an airport, planes fly by. We used to call it Draco Sack. Draco Sack and Big Eye was some of the biggest rank 7 monsters running the game of Yu-Gi-Oh! Way back in Dragon Ruler days. And I remember when he got announced that he's going to have a whole archetype, people thought what? It's going to be easier to summon? And people put so much hype behind that fucking shit. And then it came out and we realized it was utter trash. So I'm kind of glad it went nowhere. I would have been really upset if that would have been a super crazy deck, but it wasn't. Moving on. Ignites. I remember when Ignites got announced. This was around the time when I just stopped playing Yu-Gi-Oh! And Metal Foes and Ignites. I remember the hype behind Ignites. Oh, I know some of you guys might remember the hype behind Ignites. Ignites, they came up, they popped themselves, they searched. People thought that this was about to be the most consistent thing to ever hit the game. This is going to be one of the next new pendulum decks to take over since fucking, what was it? The fucking, Quill Forts. When Quill Forts was a crazy, and then they thought this was going to be the next Quill Forts, and then they had the little machines, so people thought it was going to be crazy. It wasn't. It wasn't. Normal monsters, they had no effects. Outside of their pendulum effects, they don't have regular effects. That's not enough to carry a deck in a meta game, especially in a match or a competition. It might have topped here and there, but ultimately did nothing. It fell flat. It was garbage. Number 7, Terrace. Terrace is number 7 because I remember it was that deck. It was True Kings, True Dracos, and all of them kind of came out around the same time. And I remember this deck was oh, it's going to be up there when the next 3 decks is going to be running around Yu-Gi-Oh! Being crazy. Ooh. It came out and ooh, nothing happened. Nothing ever happened with Terrace, and mainly because it's a flip effect deck, and with flip effect decks, they're way too slow. You gotta set it, wait for your opponent to do something. That's just not gonna happen, especially in today's game of Yu-Gi-Oh! Especially back in that days of Yu-Gi-Oh! When Draco Sack, not Draco Sack, the true Dracos were running wild and killing the game with so many popping abilities, so many. Masterpiece was out. Like, it was, come on, Terrace ain't doing nothing against Masterpiece, and especially in a 3-game match. Come on now. Number 6 is Nigerians. I know you guys thought I was kind of moving forward in time with the list, but no, Nigerians. I put Nigerians up on number 6 because when this deck was with Bamboo Shoot and some of these other cards, Nigerian Beasts, like they had so much negation, so much power was in this deck. People thought this deck was gonna be instant tier 0. So. And it wasn't. It didn't do anything. It's just like people just use certain cards from certain decks because they're so strong. You just assume that when more support comes out for it, you just automatically believe that, oh my god, this deck is going to be crazy. Then it comes out and it's nothing. It's almost similar to Goki's in a way, because Goki's is a somewhat overhyped deck, but it's not all the Goki's. It's only like 5 of them. That's really crazy. But you can make a deck with that and still call it Goki's. So that's why I didn't want to put Goki's on this list. But the Cheerios, you're up there, buddy. Number 5, Lair of Darkness. Lair of Darkness, when that structure that got announced, it had all the different virus cards. It had the field spell that turns your opponent's monsters into dark monsters. You can tribute them now, and that helps you get off your stupid virus cards. So you just completely destroy your opponent's field. You can destroy their hand. You can destroy their deck. You get complete control of the field. You get a monster that's able to summon itself. It's over 3,000 attack points once the field card's on the field. Your opponent's getting tokens. It thought that it was going to be something crazy. It didn't. Even though I personally hate the deck, I still hate the deck to this day. Oh, I don't like it. I talked about it last week. I still don't like that deck. I really don't like that deck at all. So I'm kind of glad that it's not at the top of the game, but it's still running around a little bit, but it's just not as good as people thought it would be. So that's why it's up there. Moving on. Number 4, Rockets. The rocket monsters, or the bullet dragons, I remember they were called the bullets, but they are number 4 because it's kind of funny because with the V-Reigns anime, most of the decks outside of Cyverse monsters, most of those characters when they came in with decks, those decks were relevant, like Trick Stars and Gokis and Salamangreats. Like, whenever main characters have decks, like, you would just like, oh, that deck is automatically relevant in Yu-Gi-Oh! Like, that's kind of like a really nice pull away from the anime, is that those anime decks are actually relevant and good in today's game, so they're not just bullshitting on the anime. They're actually using some of the best decks in the game. But my thing with Rockets is it's one of the main villains or anti-heroes, whatever he is. I didn't watch enough of the anime. What I got to episode 12, and he was a villain. And he made it seem like, oh, because I got Borrow Lord and Borrow Sword, and ooh, I'm going to do something, Borrow Guard. No. This deck came out in real life, did absolutely nothing, because it's one of those decks that kind of matters where you place the cards at, and we thought that was going to run crazy in Yu-Gi-Oh! And it just didn't. So that kind of leads me on to my next deck. Number 3, Musketeers. Musketeers is another deck, which was the Magic Bullet, whatever it was called. There was another deck that got announced. All the hype. People thought because you could move the cards around on the field and they get all these different effects, they can chain each other, and it's crazy. And no, that doesn't matter. Like, column spaces in Yu-Gi-Oh! Are important. But when it comes to the competitive game, it's not the most important thing to be thinking about. And a deck that solely relies on where you place cards in their column is another deck that has a very big flaw. It has a nice strength to it, but it's also a big flaw because there's multiple columns on the field. You can't guarantee where you're going to place them. Yes, this deck helps you manipulate where you can put cards and where you place them and how you manipulate off of them, but they're not strong enough to compete in an actual meta game that people thought it would have lived up to. Magic Spectres. Yo, I remember Magic Spectres hype. I remember Kisame was playing Magic Spectres, trying to get ahead of it. Like, I played early, can't say I jumped on the bandwagon when it comes out. Ooh, we went to the sneak preview and he had like the frog and the fox and he thought he was crazy with it. People thought Magic Spectres was like the next tier 1 easy deck. Like, they thought it was going to be something on the level of Pepe when people came out with this deck. And it might have been because it got super hyped up in the OCG and was running rampant in the OCG. They thought it was going to do crazy in the TCG. But unfortunately enough for us, we had other decks and TCG exclusive decks that, like, I think at the time, Burning Abyss was still going crazy. So there was other TCG exclusive decks in there that really, really took it out. And I remember because of the success of Burning Abyss, it also made other TCG exclusive decks that came out somewhat like, oh, these are going to be great too because Burning Abyss is great. So decks like Noble Knights also got a little bit overhyped, and they thought it was going to be well, but because it relies too much on equip spells, it just doesn't go. My number one most hyped deck in Yu-Gi-Oh! History. No deck will ever top this deck. Because it's more than one deck. It's 3 of them. It's the legacy support. And what I mean by legacy support is Dark Magician, Blue Eyes, Red Eyes, Black Dragon. Whenever these cards get announced support, the amount of hype of the fandom behind Yu-Gi-Oh! That jumps behind these archetypes. It doesn't matter. They could make Blue Eyes Red Sneaker. They're gonna run around and say, oh, it's tier 1. It's coming back in the meta. Anytime these cards get support, they automatically, I don't want to say they jump back in the meta, but they start appearing more in tournaments. They start playing it more. People just love them. They just love the deck, and I'm not going to exclude myself. I love a little bit of Dark Magician. I love Red Eyes Black Dragon. When Red Eyes Black Dragon got the Ritual Monster, I was in the hype. I'm not gonna lie to you guys. When Eternal Soul got announced for Dark Magician, I thought Dark Magician was gonna do something, but it didn't. Trash. Even with Dark Magic Circle and its annoying ass combos, you would think it would do something. You're like, oh, I can pop cards now. When I jump on the field, it helps me search and I get the specials. I mean, it's a nice synergy. No. You even thought that with Blue Eyes, when Blue Eyes Chaos Max and double piercing damage and no, it does nothing. It never does anything. No matter whenever Konami announces support for the legacy cards like Blue Eyes, Red Eyes, and Dark Magician, the fandom jumps behind it. We think it's gonna do something because we love these cards so much, but then we use it against the actual meta and we realize how garbage and trash we are for it. But I'm not gonna lie, let them make fucking let them make the gangster version of Celtic Guardian. I'm gonna be back on that hype train because Celtic Guardian is my favorite card. So if they ever did that to Celtic Guardian, any Celtic Guardian support, I'm there. I'm using it. I have a Celtic Guardian deck right now. It's pretty good. If I say so myself, it's probably really trash in real life, but I don't care. It's not that consistent. I run Noble Knights. It's whatever. But you guys get the drift of what I'm talking about. Feel like I've rambled on long enough, and the Flash is coming on, so this video will probably upload by 10 p.m. tonight. So, guys, that's my list. I would love to know what your lists are for other decks that you feel are overhyped. So much hype and pandemonium came behind it, and once it came out, the deck was actually trash and didn't live up to any of the hype put behind it, and it just fell flat. So, comment those down below. Let me know. Don't forget to like the video right now. Shows me love. Let me know that you guys like what I'm doing on this channel. Don't forget to click that subscribe button also. That way, if you're new to the channel, you can subscribe to the channel. We make a lot of videos on Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Saturdays. Tuesdays, you see me. Thursdays, you see Kisame Anthony. On Saturday, you see me and Kisame. And then on my own channel, if you want to subscribe over there, I'll upload podcasts and my personal videos. If you want to follow me on any of my other personal social media, links to all that will be down below in the description. But guys, until then, I'll see you niggas next week. Well, Saturday, because I gotta edit a video for Saturday. That's like the last one that we have, and then we're not filming for a while. So, I don't know how those Saturdays gonna be rolling out, but you didn't hear that from me. I overhyped the Saturdays. Ooh.